I'm going to continue along the bank of this river, the Stour, all the way into the centre of my next destination and enjoy every moment of its typical Dorset gentleness. I've enjoyed a lovely walk alongside the River Stour, making my way towards Blandford Forum. You've probably heard of the infamous Blandford Fly, or you've read Thomas Hardy and know it as Shottisford. It's the town, again, another one rebuilt after a disastrous fire, this time in Georgian style, and it's well worth a visit. This really is a most delightful way of journeying across the country, seeking out little-known trackways and footpaths and following them from village to village, town to town. And they're always flourishing with wild growth and alive with the continuous sound of birdsong. I'm heading towards Bryanston Church, standing proud and isolated, overlooking the River Stour, with only a meadow separating it from the water. Ringed around with woods, it's a most picturesque setting. Ahead of me lies the famous Georgian Bridge across the Stour, which is my entry point into the town of Blandford Forum. And a finer way of entering any town would be difficult to imagine, or a more handsome piece of architecture than this bridge. But then Blandford Forum deserves a bridge of such elegance, for in the whole of southwest England it would be impossible to find a more magnificent Georgian town centre, with the parish church of St. Peter and Paul, like all the other buildings, rebuilt in the classical style after the Great Fire of 1731. It's a town where the arts and crafts can flourish, and none more so than in the work of Felicity Baker, a painter whose delicate and precise brushwork, drawing skill and exquisite colour sense produces handmade screens such as this medieval example.
First thing I ever painted was a spray of flowers that I went out and picked from the garden, and they looked so lovely, and I hadn't got a film in the camera, and I decided to paint them. And I've still got the picture. It obviously had lots of faults, but it really all sort of sprang from there, and the children were starting to grow up, and I had a lot of time really to myself, and so that's how it all started.
Felicity, you may not have had any artistic training, but I think I could hazard a guess what your influences were, and I would have said medieval, Dutch and Italian painting. Would I be right?
Yes. It's very difficult to say which of those has influenced me, because I tend to paint what's needed at the time. So, for instance, this has a classical theme. It's for a classical setting. So, obviously, then I become very attracted to the Italian painters, to the mythology, try to get the Latin right. It would be the same for the medieval idiom and for the Dutch idiom. It's for a specific setting.
The screen is something you obviously like doing because you have a great many of them. Bunches of flowers, cats, dogs. You rather like this idea.
I do. It's a very old idea. They used to be called companion pieces in the old days, and also dummy boards. Very often there used to be a figure, whether they were some sort of burglar deterrent or just for company, I don't know. And you might have a lady brushing her hair, or a maid carrying a pile of sheets, or maybe a minstrel with a lute or something like that. And then a few years ago, we decided to rejuvenate the idea, if that's the right word, revive the idea, by taking it further and having still lifes of fruit and baskets of flowers and dogs, which is how I found myself doing people's own animals.
Talking of preference, Felicity, there is something you would, I don't perhaps mean prefer to do, but something you desperately would like to do, which is illustrate.
Yes, I really would. I've been rejected quite a lot, but it's not stopping me. And also, I feel that as time goes on, I am getting too old, if you like, to clamber around on the floor painting murals. I mean, because it hurts every part of your body, believe me. You don't just get housemaid knee from kneeling, you get everything becomes sore. And painting furniture and distressing it, it's all extremely hard work. And it would be lovely to just sit at my easel, indoors, in my own house, with my own radio, and illustrate things, if not that I've written, that other people have written.
I'm walking up Salisbury Street and I've come here to look at this house across the road. You'll see a tablet up there on the wall that was put there by the citizens of this town in memory of Alfred Stephen. He was born in that house in 1817. He showed exceptional artistic talent as a young man. He went on to study in London, then he went to Italy. He returned to this country to execute many fine works. Probably the most celebrated was the Wellington Monument that you can see in St. Paul's. When Stevens undertook the Wellington Memorial, he realized his lifelong ambition to create a masterpiece of architectural sculpture in England. Standing 30 feet high, the bronze sculpture of the aged Duke lies recumbent in death on his sarcophagus beneath a classical triumphal arch of marble. At each end of his marble canopy are groups in bronze representing truth tearing out the tongue of falsehood and valor trampling cowardice underfoot. The two virtues depicted by superbly modelled female figures and the vices, large male nudes. On its summit stands the equestrian statue of Wellington, the supreme military commander in his prime. The whole being Stephen's finest work, and in my opinion, a sculptural masterpiece. And today, as you can see, Alfred Stephen's birthplace has become a bicycle shop, which is rather convenient for me. Absolutely glorious. It's been cycling through these beech trees. 365 of them there are on each side of the road. And they were planted there by the Bank family, who once owned the whole of the estate here, Kingston Lacey Estate. 9,000 acres they owned, once 14 farms and 2 villages. And they planted these trees, and they knew they were never going to see them in their glory and their full height. But they planted them for another generation, and I'm glad to see the same thing is going on over there.